Hello, YouTube world. Back for another COVID-19 data sheet update. Been working on pulling in all of this COVID-19 data from this GitHub repository. And so we've written code to do exactly that. However, they decided to throw a wrench into the system. Right here at March 21st, they have changed the layout of the CSSV files. And I think that is probably because there's now so many more locations. But it won't work for our updates. So I'd intended on, we talked about the updates last time, and then I'd intended on pumping it all into Data Studio. But I have to rethink my plan for how to get this CSV spreadsheet to fit with my data set, which is going to take a little bit of extra code because I'll have to match things up. All of a sudden, the country is located over here to the right, or maybe not. I guess it still has province, state, country, region. It's got these two at the front. I'll come up with a plan later, but that does give us a chance to come up with a way to look at this data before we do that. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to create a COVID-19 per day view. And let's create a date field, and then let's say 03/21/2020. And this is going to be used as our filter because we're going to write a query statement. We're going to write a couple of these query statements. And we can take a look at how simple that is. We need to put in a data. We need to put in a query, and then possible headers, which actually there are headers, so we'll need that. Now, I can go and type in the actual, COVID-19 daily reports, but I don't want to do that. That is too complicated. Oh, it doesn't like that. Let's just delete all of this. Well, let's name a range. In this case, columns A to I. And we will define a named range, and we'll call this daily reports. And look at how it's looking at columns A to I, but there's no number specified. If you're familiar with these, sometimes you can, well, not sometimes, but you can actually put in numbers to specify which rows they're going to, but we don't want that. We want this to be dynamic. So as we add more rows, we still want it to refer to this range. So let's just call it daily reports, and we're going to say done. And we can close that little panel. Let's go back over to our per day view, and let's get our query going, and we can type in daily reports. And now we need to put in a select statement. This is very similar to SQL or SQL, the structured query language syntax. To start with, I'm just going to grab star, and I think that's all you need to put. We have a header row, and there's only one header row, so I'm just going to put in the number 1. You could, I believe, leave this as the optional default, and it will figure out your headers, but I think it's better to explicitly declare. So now, result was not automatically expanded. Please insert more rows. So I guess because this sheet that I made wasn't quite large enough, but it seems to have figured that out and made its modifications. Interesting. Well, there we go. We've now got our data set displayed here. And now it's time to go to work on it. Let's actually keep adding to our query. And actually, I'm going to move these two down just one. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. We want columns C, E, F, and G. Simple enough. Let's go back over to our per day view and replace this asterisk with C, D, E, and G. And now that's going to cut down the size of our... There we go. Perfect. Now, this is going to be showing every single record. That's why it's 6,000 some rows. But we actually wanted to filter by this date here. And that's easy enough. All we have to do is add a where. And then A is the column where the date is. And we can add in a string. And let's just say 01, 22, 2020. That should be our first day. It didn't find anything here. Now the reason for that is because it's trying to match a date, a field that is specified as date, and I think we can just do that. We can just type in date. Oh, it didn't like that. How do we do that? Maybe if we use, let's try year, month, and then day. Whoa, 01, 22. No, it doesn't like that either. I think it wants it to be text. Oh, I'm not closing the single brackets. Maybe it was fine the first time. So let's actually try. So it definitely works year, month, day. Let's try 01, 22, 2020. No, it does not like that. Okay, so it's got to be in the single brackets, in the single quotes, I mean, and then year, month. Oops, I really cannot type today. And I missed the single quote again. Okay, so that's great, but now we actually want this to match the day that we have selected here, because we can easily change that with the little date picker built into Sheets. And I'm just realizing maybe this is, I can probably make this bigger. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Let's see if I can. No. Well, hopefully you can see that. So what we can do is let's delete this out of here. Let's add in double quotes. Spread this out a bit with an ampersand, B2, ampersand. Now, be careful with the quotes and double quotes. But if you just deleted the date correctly, that should have matched up exactly the way we want it. And maybe this actually has to get wrapped in, let's do text. Or maybe you have to tell it a date. Here we go. We can actually put a format into text. I kind of remember that. Sorry guys, I'm going off the top of the head here. Hopefully that is not too, so we need years, months, days. There we go. Perfect. So now if I change this and I go all the way back to January 22nd, which I know is the first day. There we go. We've changed now. Confirmed, recovered. Do we not have... Let's see if we've got the right columns in here. No, we've only got confirmed and recovered. We did not put in C, D, E, G, E, F. It has been a long day. C, D, E, F, G. So there we go. We've got confirmed, deaths, and recovered. Perfect. Well, now let's add in a filter by country. And we'll do that. Let's add in country. And here, we're going to add in a data validation. And let's do the list from range. Let's call the range C2 to C. So it gives you the dropdown will match this column here. And I guess we can show warrant. No, let's reject input and correct country. And now if we save that, now we've got a drop down. Perfect. And it should automatically filter. It won't show us duplicates in here. However, there are some differences because countries like China have the provinces broken out, and the US has some of the states broken out, some of the cities broken out. Well, that's okay. Let's get some other and you know what? Let's freeze. Let's do this. Let's freeze the first row so we look through. And then I wonder if we can, yeah, I was thinking that. No, that's going to get, yeah, that's just going to scroll off anyways. Okay, in the interest of time, let's talk about this query. So what I have written now shows the totals here on the far left in this left column. And let me highlight these. Let's make this a gold. And I think we can freeze 2 columns here. Yep. Even though we're not really ever scrolling right. It'd be nice if you could just freeze these 2 columns in place. If you can, and I don't know about it, let me know. That would be cool. Because I just want to be able to scroll this part. Well, what we can look at now, we can change the countries around. And that is reflective of all the data that we have in here. Because even this is getting a little bit too unwieldy. And let's look at Qatar. Pretty interesting. Iran, and there we go. And then we can change the days. You know, let's go back a month. And wow, that's a lot in a month there for Iran. Okay, very cool. So that's making use of this query here. I've wrapped the whole thing in transpose so it fits down so it goes this way. Whoops, I don't want to do that. So it goes columns A and B, and then the query I'm actually grabbing C2 to F, and then sum of D, E, and F, where C is B3, and B3 is this cell right here. That's what matches the country. And then I'm relabeling them. You can add a label at the end, because otherwise it would just call them sum D, sum E, sum F. And we don't want that. We want it to be confirmed, death, and recovered. And then that gives us our totals over here. Very cool. So I thought of one other one while I was writing that out. Okay. So here's one more query for you. And this time it's showing every day and the total number of countries, total confirmed, total deaths, and total recovered. And I wrote those very similarly, and I will of course put this all on these queries on my blog. You can look at them more closely, but I'm selecting A, which is the date, then counting B, which are the countries, then, well, I guess it's just counting all of the rows, so it's everything that's got an entry in our original daily reports sheet. Then I want to filter out all of the null rows. I'm going to group by the country by count, group by, A, by the date, and then labeling the count each column at a time. And that gives us this nice little view here. So this is some stuff to work with when we actually get to Data Studio. Next time I'm going to dive back into more JavaScript and keep fleshing out this data spreadsheet. So as usual, stay healthy and keep coding.